The following episode contains themes and conversations on the subject of suicide. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Mate, we're just going to rip in, okay? Where you go, numbnuts? It's just better that way because I already want to talk to you. I like the look of you. Not like that, you queer cunt.
I'm getting excited already.
Welcome. And today we're sitting down with Adam Smith, a UK-based high-performance coach and founder of A Games Consultancy, who's got the receipts when it comes to real transformation. 3 years alcohol-free, living with ADHD, sounds familiar, and someone who pulled himself back from the edge after a suicide attempt. Adam's journey isn't just inspiring, it's proof that change is possible no matter where you start. We're going to talk about breaking limiting beliefs, habit stacking, what is that, I hear you ask, moderation, what is that, I hear us ask, and building a life that actually fits, not some insta-fad or extreme routine. If you're keen to make meaningful moves with your fitness, mental clarity, or life in general, but don't know where to start, this one's for you. Adam brings the strategy, we bring the questions, and you, hopefully, bring the willingness. So, Adam, welcome. Apologies for our rather obscene introduction.
Oh, don't be silly. Hey, Adam, go back to the beginning and, like, you're obviously very unhappy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, who was the Adam Smith that came before the man we see before us?
Oh, a very troubled, angry, confused, misunderstood man. Or child, I would actually say. I'd honestly say I've become a man, and I'm 37 now, probably in the last 5 years. I think before I was allowing my emotions to drag me to respond in ways that weren't serving me. I was a people pleaser. I had no boundaries. I really didn't like myself at all. And it all compounded up until maybe when I was 30. And I had I wouldn't say a failed suicide attempt, implying that I did it. I was on the way to ending my life and I stopped. It was probably about 200 or 300 yards away from crashing the car into a bridge with every intention of doing so. But on reflection, I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. The pain of not feeling good enough. The exhaustion of going day to day, of wondering, how the fuck am I going to get through this today? And the only time I was at peace was when I was asleep. And I look forward to going to bed more than anything, just because that was the only time that my thoughts weren't as active and the actions couldn't be completed of destroying myself any more than I already was. So I was going through a tough time, don't get me wrong. I'd lost 3 family members in the space of a month in a variety of different ways, cancer, heart attacks, etc. And then off the back of that, my mental health went to shit, because I was working 70 or 80 hours a week in hospitality. That compounded as well into more misery. Got signed off work with depression. And then my work basically forced me out of the job and my partner left me. So it's not a woe is me, oh my God, life was so hard. A lot of those problems were sort of self-imposed to an extent. It was unhealed problems from my past that really got me into that mess. Yes, losing the 3 family members was out of my control and nothing to do with me, of course, but the partner leaving, definitely my part's playing that. Work forcing me out, I don't really blame them anymore, to be honest. I used to. And when the doctor said, you have depression, I was like, oh no. And I carried it around like a fucking dead weight. And unless you are medically diagnosed, as in you've got a chemical imbalance in your brain, it's more often the case that you're doing depression as opposed to having depression. You might be born with an anxiety disorder, or you might develop a poor strategy for feeling anxious, etc., etc. So we can open that up a little bit later, but I'll stop talking there. But basically, it all compounded. It got to one...
No, keep going, mate. It
got to one period of time where I'd done a bit of work on myself and I started to rebuild, and I thought, right, I'll go to therapy, that'll be the answer. And again, on reflection, it wasn't that the therapist was wrong, I just wasn't ready for it. I didn't understand what therapy was. It was very challenging to answer the questions that they were putting forwards, and I started to rebuild right? And then I got a phone call one day from my best friend, and he just said, my dad's just died in his sleep. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he's just had a heart attack. I was like, fucking hell. So it's the 4th loss in 6 months. And I don't want to go as far to say he was like a second dad to me, but I was very close to this man. I loved him dearly. Great guy. 52, I think, when he passed. Complete shock to everybody. And I had that instantaneous grief, that one that just smacks you in the face, and I just started like crying like uncontrollably straight away. And I remember the brief at the funeral was bright colours. So I wore like a, you know, nice jacket and whatever, and everyone else was like wearing black. And I felt like an absolute dick. And I've never felt more self-judgment and shame as I did in that moment. Like, why have I turned up to a funeral in a fucking nice bright jacket? Well, I thought that's what everyone else was doing. I remember looking around at the wake and the wife crying, nephews and nieces in bits. And because I was drinking so much alcohol at the time, I must have drank about 8 pints at the wake, 8 or 10 pints, fuck knows how many. But because I was drinking so much, people couldn't tell I was drunk. And I thought, right, fuck it. The wake was 5 minutes away from my parents' house. I'm going to go say goodbye for the last time. So I dropped in, said hello. Right, I'm going to drive back to Leeds, which is about half an hour away from my hometown. And I just got in the car and I thought, today's the day. Because I'd been Googling how to end my life before this. How can I do it in the most peaceful way? How can I do it the most pain-free way? How can I do it with family not knowing or seeing me? And Google gave you all the answers at the time. They don't do it anymore.
What?
But it gave you a full fucking breakdown. If you want to do it pain-free, go to tablets combined with this. If you want to do it instantly, maybe look at doing it in front of a train. It was horrendous, mate. Like, unbelievable. You could find all this stuff on the internet so freely. And so, yeah, it created almost... When people do end their life, a lot of the time people go, oh, they were just in a really good headspace. I don't understand where this is coming from. It's because they're at peace. They're at peace that they know it's coming to an end and that the pain is going to stop. So when I got in the car and was driving with every intention of smashing it into a bridge, a wall, a post, it didn't matter. And I just got a phone call and it just said, Mum is calling. I was like, fucking hell. That in itself like snapped me out of my state. And I answered it. She's like, oh, hi Adam, you've left your wallet here. Do you want me to drop it off for you? And later on I was like, fucking hell. I said, yeah, fine. Hung up, slammed the brakes on, and the car was just like spinning like off the movies. And luckily no one was harmed. It was never my intention to harm anybody, of course. And I just sat in a lay-by and I just sobbed. And I've never cried like that in my entire life. It was like someone had poured a bucket of water over my head. And that was when I knew this is rock bottom. This is the pits of despair and misery. And but equally, I started to be quite grateful, weirdly. How grateful am I that I've got a supportive mother that called me? How grateful am I that I've got my dad in my life still, and my brother and his wife and his kids, and da-da-da-da. And I thought, right, well, it can't get any fucking worse. So let's just start this rebuild process now. And 7 years on, I'm still in that process, and I'll never stop building. But yeah, that's the full sort of ball of wax, as it were, around where I was at. And yeah, it's just to reiterate that, as you alluded to at the beginning of the podcast, change is absolutely possible. It is, but it's rock bottom is a fucking fantastic foundation to build on. But you don't want to build it on sand. You don't want to build it on materialistic bullshit. You want to build it on healthy habits. You want to build it on great support networks. You want to build it on, you know, building your self-esteem. You don't just want to get stuff to prove to people how fucking successful you are. Here's my car, here's my house, to try and validate yourself. That's never going to fucking work. That's building foundations on sand. So I've done the deep inner work. It's painful as shit, but here we are today to tell the tale.
Wow. Bro, like, so your mum really saved your life?
I think so.
Yeah. So just out of the blue, like, so if she hadn't called you, you would have gone through with it, right?
What was her reaction when you
told your mum?
Relayed that to her?
Yeah, she. It was one of upset / relief. You know, a lot of the work I do with clients now is dealing with the reality of the situation, because what we tend to do is we don't live in reality, we live in fantasy. We go, oh, next week I've got this meeting and I'm really nervous about it. Well, it's next week. So perhaps we don't need to get that nervous about it.
Mate, you're on the same page, bro.
Right?
It's so funny.
You're robbing yourself of today. So she said, "Oh, but imagine if you did crash." I said, "But Mum, I didn't."
Yeah.
But what if I didn't call you? But you did.
Yeah. It's like everybody is like you project yourself into the future, and we worry about stuff that hasn't happened, that may happen. We play these mental movies in our head. We're like, oh yeah, but what if this happens, that happens? And you're absolutely right. You've robbed yourself of the now, and there's nothing wrong with right now, right? And half the time, all the stuff you're worrying about never happens anyway. It's completely different to what, right? So we just waste so much energy on this stuff that we've concocted in our brains, right? So
what's your take on divine intervention? Because like if there's ever a case for it, it'd be right there and then, right?
Yeah, I think it's dumb luck, to be honest. I think because there's been many cases where they haven't received the phone call. There's a motivational speaker, I think he was from Australia actually. He jumped off the Sydney Harbour Bridge and he survived. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he does a tours around the world now talking about suicide prevention, because he said, as soon as my foot left the bridge, I knew I'd made a mistake.
Wow.
I knew I'd fucked up. And unfortunately, so many people don't get that opportunity to reevaluate their choices. And the thing is that, yes, 3 in 4 suicides are men, but women actually attempt suicide probably more so than men. The men do it in a much more aggressive way. So there's not much opportunity for divine intervention when you throw yourself in front of a train that's going 120 miles an hour or whatever it is. Or when you've pulled the trigger, there's no divine intervention. Yes, you might receive a phone call during that time, of course, but I was very lucky, and that's what I attribute it to. I believe that there's an element of there's a higher power and things like that to an extent, but I also look at it and go, if there is a higher power, then why are children getting bombed to death and horrible fucking atrocities that wipe out thousands of people, like the earthquakes in Turkey and whatever else? So I just look at it as I'm very, very lucky. And every single day I am grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my support network. I'm grateful for what I do have, not what I don't. So I used to guilt myself as well about that.
Guilt yourself for being grateful?
Guilt myself for what happened, because guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. I am that thing. And they both come from judgment. And I was judging myself so harshly. You fucking idiot, you were going to take your life and your mum saved you. And, imagine the pain you would have put her through. Language like that just wasn't serving me. And my coach said to me, Adam, you just weren't well. And I never thought of it like that. I never thought of it as being unwell, because we associate being unwell to the physical, not the mental necessarily, unless it's, of course, severe mental challenges that people have and what have you. But yeah, I never thought of it as I was unwell in my 20s.
So you might say that you, like me, have benefited from having hit a rock bottom. I mean, I definitely have, and I hope to God I never have to experience that again. But in saying that, I'm super grateful for the fact that I did. I'm sure you are too, because it's changed your life. However, do you think, and I'm pretty sure you're going to say no, do you think everybody has to achieve or hit rock bottom in order to turn their lives around?
Some people will never change, and they'll rather die than change. Everyone's got a different pain threshold. So I've had some clients that, let's say they're in the 40s and they used to be Joe Fitness, right? And now they're wearing 34 waisted jeans as opposed to 32. And they go, fuck, I've let myself go. And they go to the gym and they sort it out in weeks. I've had, not other clients, but I've seen other examples whereby they're so overweight and they're drinking so much alcohol, the doctor says to them, listen, if you carry on living this lifestyle, you're going to be on the operating table in a year, because I might have to save you from a heart attack, or your liver might give out, or whatever. And some people would rather die than change. So I think, to answer your question in the shortest answer, I don't think you need to hit rock bottom. But a great question to ask yourself, compassionately, is, have I had enough pain yet? And that is such a poignant question. Oh, my relationship's shit. Have you had enough pain yet? I don't know. Well, are you going to approach the person and talk to them about it, or are you just going to keep complaining? Oh, I'm 20 pounds overweight, Adam. No problem. Have you had enough pain yet? Some people honestly say no, because they don't feel worthy of change, because their self-esteem is on the floor and they don't know the first step of how to improve self-esteem. But self-esteem is esteem of oneself. If you're viewing yourself going, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve happiness, the likelihood of starting the fitness journey in the first place is not going to fucking happen. So sometimes you need someone to believe in you more than you believe in you, and that's where a coach comes into play. Because you might not think you're worthy of the outcome.
So Adam, how, like, right, everything you're saying makes complete sense, and like it's amazing that you're here because you've definitely got a gift and a story to tell. But how did you fall into, or what do you think is the most important thing to do when you're at rock bottom or you want to change? Because for me, whenever I'm feeling a little bit down, I just go to exercise. Mm-hmm. And like, it's a bitch. No, but I mean, no, I like exercise, but I don't. I have a love-hate relationship with it. But the upside of it, even after that first little bit of exercise, the endorphins and all the stuff that kicks in that make you feel good, is that the most important thing? I know diet as well and all that sort of stuff. But for you, what's your first go-to?
The phrase, do what's doable. Because some people, I don't necessarily work with people that are manically depressed, right? But there might be some people listening to this today that are. And when people are manically depressed and they send them to get sectioned and what have you, they'll get you to hoover a room. Or they'll go, can you hoover 5 yards today? Yeah, I can maybe do that. Cool. Can you get dressed tomorrow? Yeah, I could do that. And I know you're not necessarily talking to that problem, mate, but it's do what's doable is quite a freeing phrase, because a lot of people try to do too much and then they use it as a shitty stick to hit themselves with and go, I'm not good enough, why they even fucking bother? So when people are unfit and they're maybe overweight and they go, oh, I need to be able to run 5k. Well, right now you can't run a fucking bath without being out of breath. So maybe we don't start there. Maybe we go Amazon, maybe we go running shoes or new walking shoes, and then we go 5 minutes today. I'm going to put my shoes on, I'm going to go outside. Because to your point, mate, yes, I don't think that we can think our way out of a problem. I think we have to move our way out of a problem. All my best ideas for my business have always been when I'm out for a walk or I'm out at CrossFit or, you know, doing something. I'm not just sat at my desk going, let me think, because the brain just doesn't work that way. You almost have to move your way out of it. And we don't necessarily feel depressed like I touched on earlier. We do depressed. We do anxious by picking our fingers, by rubbing our face, by banging our leg, by, you know, fucking breathing too shallow like this, and you become overwhelmed. So if you can just stand up when you do feel depressed, you'll probably be finding yourself that you sat on your sofa really like this going, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like shit? It's like, oh, yeah, a real head scratcher. Probably because you sat like a fucking compressed ball bag on your sofa, wondering why you feel like shit. Of course you feel like shit.
Great choice of language.
He's speaking his language.
Oh,
yeah. So, you know,
but it's true though, right? You know, when you're anxious or you wake up at night or whatever, or you have a big yawn, and like half the time that's your body going, hey, can you just give me some flipping oxygen? You know, instead of this. And but when you do that, like I was telling my son this morning, I was driving down here, I was waxing lyrical, I hadn't spoken for a while. I said, you know what, mate? Last night I was having trouble going to sleep, and I'd never do. So I just went into some breathing exercises, just real deep breaths. And I did I think I counted to about 15, then I woke up, right? And I was like, holy fuck. And it was purely just getting some oxygen into my lungs, you know, and then and just I don't even know what I did, and just out like a light, right?
It's good to talk about the simple things, because, and it's one of the reasons I was really looking forward to talking to you with Matthew, Adam, is because I'm massive, as we both are, and you are, on exercise, the benefits of it, how much it's brought into our respective lives, but like myself, and possibly like you, Matthew and I are pretty extreme in terms of like it's all or nothing. Like I work out hard.
You work out a lot harder than me.
I don't know, but we work out sometimes together, and we're evenly paced, but we're very competitive. We're always trying new things, even if it's doing breathing techniques or bringing in kettlebells or push-up boards, or it's always trying not the latest fads, things that we think and know that will work, going as hard as we possibly can and exhausting ourselves on it. And I have a really hard time, while I like to think I'm pretty empathetic, I have a really hard time putting myself in the shoes of somebody who can't get off the couch and work out, who can't make those first steps. I guess because I've always exercised, so I don't have to learn that. But what I'd love to be able to talk to is how somebody who's never done it before or is well out of the loop, how they can make the small changes that I definitely couldn't advise on somebody how to do, because I'm like right in there already. Matthew's much the same. He comes from an elite professional sports background. So, we're not really probably equipped to or even understand why somebody can't muster the willpower to do that.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that many people are lazy. I think they've just got a low self-esteem or they don't feel worthy of an outcome. So it's always something deeper. We use phrases like, I just procrastinate. I procrastinated yesterday, so I didn't go to the gym. If I put a gun to your head and said you need to go to the fucking gym, you wouldn't procrastinate, would you? You'd just do it. You haven't given yourself enough leverage to change. But I think that, to your point there, the vernacular that you use there, all or nothing, it's very rarely that, it might be the case for you two, by the way, for example, but it's very rarely that people are all, especially average Joe. And why do we need to be all to see change? When I think of all about a body transformation, I think weighing my food, I think drinking 5 litres of water a day, 15k steps, I think fucking 2 CrossFit workouts. That's what I think all.
But that appeals to me.
Oh, mate, that just does not appeal to me.
Like that for me means total control, right? If I've got like nutrition, exercise, all of these elements of my life, they're in balance, and I'm like, well, I'm holding it together. So for me, that's an appealing concept. And if I'm like dropping the ball in any of those things, that's when it feels like the wheels are coming off.
Sure.
Probably not so healthy when I say it out loud like that.
No, not healthy.
No, but the thing is that why is the alternative for other people nothing? So I'm gonna go on a weight loss journey, and I'm gonna prep my meals, and I'm gonna be all right. And you do it for a day, and you realise, holy fuck, this is overwhelming. This is really hard. I may as well go back to doing nothing. Guys, don't beat yourself up so fucking much, please. I know I've used some like playful language today, like sitting on the sofa like a compressed ball bag, because I've been there. I've been the ball bag. I understand. But if you can do something, what does that look like? Because in 90 days, you're going to become unrecognisable. If you allow yourself the grace period to put the fucking trainers on, to drink a bit more water, to get outside today, then we can look to improve and implement new stuff. Because I have some very simple questions I ask to my clients. It's, when something goes well, what went well, what's repeatable? Then I'll say, if it, what didn't go so well, what did you learn? What do you want to do differently next time? But what people do with the first question is, I go, what went well? I drank water, I ate healthily, and I got outside like every day for 20 minutes. Awesome. What's repeatable? Well, I want to start meditating, and I want, no. That's new ingredients to the recipe. That's not repeatable then, is it? By the very definition, you're adding more shit. What if we just went, right, I'm already drinking water, I'm already exercising, I'm already eating well. What if my 20-minute walk turned to a 25-minute walk? And they go, but that's just not enough, Adam. Well, compared to what? Compared to 3 weeks ago, where you didn't even go out for 10 minutes. It's more than double what you're doing 3 weeks ago. So why not, right? But then if you keep doing that, and you go, next week is another 5 minutes, now you're walking 30 minutes a day, it might get to a point where you go, right, next time you go out, I want you to run to a lamppost, walk to a lamppost, run to a lamppost, walk to a lamppost. And if we do that, and again, I'm not saying couch to 5K methodology, for example, and I'm not just a personal trainer, the point being healthy habits can compound, is that you go, right, I've said to myself, I'm going to go out for a 30-minute walk, and I've completed it. Congratulations, you've got some self-esteem. If you say, I'm going to go for an hour and 30-minute walk, and you only do 30, you've just destroyed your self-esteem.
Yeah.
It's not fucking easy, annoyingly.
So hey, Adam, how do you build self-esteem? How like, for people listening, how do you build self-esteem?
Start small and follow through with what you said you were going to do. But the key is to start small. If you say you're going to go to the gym tomorrow and you get your gym gear out and you get your water bottle ready and you set a reminder on your phone this evening to say, go to fucking bed at 10 to 10, and then you get your 8 hours and you put your phone outside of your bedroom and it wakes up, so you have to stand up. Now you've stood up and you've got out of the bedroom and it's next to your gym gear, you put your gym gear on, you drink the water, you may as well fucking go, right? And then you go, oh, I am capable of going to the gym, but I'm going to go for 20 minutes. Great. You've just built self-esteem. But please just, again, to anyone listening, don't give yourself too much to do too soon, because that is the quickest way to destroy it. And I know that you might be in pain right now. And I know that, you know, it's frustrating being overweight. It's frustrating not feeling confident to have sex with your partner because you know, your perception of your body is really low. I get it. But if it's taking you a year or two to become miserable, it's probably going to take you at least 12 weeks to turn it around.
This concept, would you call it's like an incremental moderation, right? That can be applied to, like, you're kind of referring to people who are at like the high end of the weight scale or they're super unfit, but it can be applied to any, you know, level, right? Somebody who's already kind of fit, they're wanting to make change. What you're saying is make it incremental and make it moderate. And put the steps in. Like yesterday, like literally true story, I just didn't want to go to the gym. Got up, did all the things. I got down to the gym. I was like, oh, God, am I going to be able to pull through with this? Got my gear out. I was literally at the point of wanting to like pack up and leave the gym. I was like, just do one push-up, David. Just do one push-up. One turned into two turned into three. And then 45 minutes later, I'm like flying out the door feeling amazing. So like it can happen. And I'm not a high-performing, you know, fitness guru or anything like that, but that can be the same at any level of fitness. So this doesn't have to apply to people listening who are, you know, on the couch, unable to get off. It can be at any point, correct?
Yeah, just put your fucking shoes on.
Yeah. And mate, the other thing too, you know, like, you know, I see people that go to the gym and stuff, and horses for courses, and each their own, but it doesn't have to be like an hour and a half and 2 hours and stuff, all this time that people are spending at the gym, and they're like, oh, I just don't have time to go to the gym. It's like, hey, man, just step outside your front door and just do some stretching, right? And or you know, and just for 20, and it's only 20 minutes, just get your heart rate up for a bit. And it's so true if you just start those little increments, right? And then eventually you're ripping into it. But even if you just keep it at 20 minutes, the change you see in your body after 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, as long as you're eating properly as well, you're not jamming in sugar, alcohol, and all this stuff, you know, you cut down on those things. It's insane, right? Yeah. Because him and I, like, we're sugar addicts. Disgusting, right? And for a couple of weeks, I just smashed sugar. You know, like I just went off the Richter scales, and then I was too scared to look in the mirror, but you can feel it. You can actually feel what it does here. You take a step and you can feel a wobble. And as soon as I feel a wobble, I go, okay, time to get off the fucking sugar, idiot. Right? And you feel that wobble, and you're like, oh, gross, right? But so what makes people get to the point where they just hate themselves so much that they throw in the towel altogether and go, bugger it, I'm just going to be a couch potato. And that's happened to, there's so many people, like I was saying to David today, like in New Zealand, we're big, you know, like we're obese. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that.
I think the third most obese nation in the world.
And I'm pretty sure it's just, mate, we're big. We're fatties. And I'm pretty much, it's the same in the UK. But and I used to say in France, oh no, the French are pretty, but nah, man. I started looking around the other day. I was like, hang on a second. Everybody's getting a paunch. Like everyone. When you see a skinny person now, that's you're like, holy shit, they're skinny. Like, you know, or that they're fit. It's not the norm anymore to be fit. It's the norm to be fat, which is, it speaks to our diet and all the other stuff. What's your take on that? And do you agree?
I agree. It certainly shouldn't be normal, but it's very common. And people go, oh, but, you know, having 3 coffees in a morning is just normal, isn't it? No, it's not normal, but it's common. You know, drinking loads of alcohol isn't normal, but it's common. Loads of people do it. But what a lot of people do, mate, is, and by the way, I coach like top level CEOs and professional athletes. They get themselves into such a dither and they catastrophize. And the simplest way I can put it to people is, let's say you're driving down the motorway and you were to blow out one of your tyres. You wouldn't get out with a knife and pop the other three, would you?
Yeah.
That'd be fucking ridiculous.
Exactly.
So why do we do it with food choices? Let's say you're on a diet, right? And let's say, you're at your friend's house and they go, hey man, do you want a piece of cheesecake? And food holds no moral value, but you go, no, cheesecake is bad. I can't have a cheesecake. So then you might have a cheesecake and you fold. Then the next day you go, well, I had a cheesecake last night, so fuck it. I may as well have the fry-up this morning and have loads of saturated fat. Oh, well, I had the fry-up this morning, so there's no point going to the fucking gym. And before you know it, Monday comes around and you've just consumed maybe 15,000 calories. And I always just refer to it as a bank account. Let's imagine if I said to you, right, mate, you're going away with your partner this weekend to a nice hotel and it's going to cost $2,000. Cool, no problem, Adam. And then I'll come up to you on the day and I go, actually, I'm going to need an extra $500. You'd be like, why? Oh, I just need it. You've already spent $2,000, so you may as well spend another $500. Right. And then I come 20 minutes later and go, I need another $300. And then tomorrow I go, I need another $4,000. You'd be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You're just spending your calories, air quote. But it all comes down to the piling in on yourself and the familiarity of feeling like shit. And it's not a comfort zone. People tell me this all the time. Oh, I can't take action, Adam. I'm just in the comfort zone, aren't I? You tell me any part of this which is comfortable and I'll listen. Do you mean familiar? There's nothing comfortable about being overweight and drinking too much and having a shit marriage. But it's really familiar because you might have done it for years. So, we don't like change all that much as people. So the association that a lot of people have is they attach more pain to change than they do to staying the same. The overweight person that drinks too much, if you say to him, hey man, you can't have Domino's pizza anymore and you can't watch Netflix for 5 hours every night, but you have to get up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning and maybe put your shoes on and go out for a walk. Oof, I don't have time for that, Adam. Well, you've got time to watch Netflix for 5 hours. Bullshit.
Isn't it amazing, how we talk ourselves into being useless? I'm a procrastinator. I've come down here today and I had to do some stuff. And I said to David, mate, can you make me do it? And he went, yeah. And he did. And I turned it back on him and said, can you do it for me?
Yeah, but it got done.
But it got done. But I'm such a procrastinator, right? But I'm not a procrastinator when it comes to keeping fit and keeping on top of your physique and your mentality. Because if you keep fit and you it's just even just walking, if you keep fit and you keep on top of the stuff that you eat, you actually just feel better. Right. So when you're in it, and you still get into a funk every now and then, you still get a little bit depressed or whatever, but to go outside and to just blast the walk off and to put your headphones on and go for a walk and take a big breath and do some breathing and stuff, it actually really does work. And so it's like those little things, just those little steps that you have to do. You've got to do some action to get some results.
Do you think it's important to define a realistic end goal? And everyone's goals, if they're honest with themselves, are going to be different. Like somebody might want to be a bodybuilder, somebody might want an athlete's body, somebody might just want to lose the belly fat, somebody might just want, bit of fulfillment, inner peace, and better self-esteem. Should our goals be similarly high, or is it okay that they're all different?
I think if you want to have the goal of being, an Oscar-winning actor, great. I'll never limit anybody in what they can and can't do. There might be an element of reality that needs to sink in that, if you go up to some 55-year-old bloke and say, oh, hey, my dream's to play for the All Blacks. Well, sorry, mate, that ship has sailed, my friend, But if it's, I want to become an actor, let's say, and there's no finite enter when you can become successful in that discipline, I'll go, okay, cool. Well, what are the micro goals that we need to attach? Oh, what do you mean? Well, you can't just go from being not known to winning an Oscar. So maybe we need to look at local acting classes. Maybe that's the next goal. So the goal is to actually open your laptop, type in on Google or ChatGPT or whatever, local acting classes in my area. Then you want to go see if you actually like it first and foremost. You might fucking hate it. Then you want to maybe look at auditioning for some place after you've done that. Then you might want to read up on acting. Then you might want to watch YouTube videos of the actors that you admire and the styles that they adopt. Then you might want to look at getting a manager if you start seeing a bit of success. Then you might want to start applying for some roles on adverts or low-level TV programs. Then after you get that, you might get a speaking part. Then after you get the fucking speaking part, you might become a character. Now you've become a character, you might do that for 5 years. After you become a good character, blah, 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 and you keep going. So the goal isn't, but again, you apply it to anything you want. I'm fat, I'm overweight, I want to run a marathon. No, goal's to put your shoes on. Oh, I want to start my own business and I want to become the next Tony Robbins of life coaching. No, you want to make sure you look into getting your qualifications first and foremost, and maybe coach someone for free to see if you like it. So I would never say that it's a bad thing to have a big goal or a dream. So make the goal scary, that will push you, but make your habits really accessible.
Okay.
How did you get it? Because, you know, you were close to ending your life. And then what sort of line of work were you in when you were, at that age? Like you said you lost your job or you got pushed out of your job?
I was in hospitality, senior management roles. So I was in that industry for about 14 years. So, you know, your job really in hospitality, if you do it to a good level, it's a skill. If you get it at entry level, any idiot can pull a pint or serve a table. But when you do it at the highest level that I was doing it at the time, you get into human psychology. You need to look into sales. You need to look into marketing. You know, our business at the time that I was managing was turning over 120k a week, and I'm managing a team of 80 people. You know, it's a lot of challenges and. Okay, the pay's shit, but if I was to apply the skills that I took from that job, because people go, oh, that's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Hospitality to coaching, I'm like, no. I've managed thousands of people over a long career. I had to understand human behavior. I had to understand psychology. I had to understand how to motivate people, how to drive them, what is it that does drive them, and have to manage everyone as an individual. Like I said, I need to know how to expand the business, how to look at a P&L report. So there's lots of transferable things from hospitality management that I took into my coaching practice in the present day. But it's the most fulfilling and challenging thing that I've probably ever done, you know, in terms of the professional side of things. But it pales in comparison to dragging my carcass out of bed every day and thinking, can I survive another day? And people listening to this right now might be going, oh, business is a bit shit. Yeah, well, you might have got through a fucking miscarriage. So if you can get through fucking awful things like that, this is a bump in the road, my friend. You've probably gone through worse and handled it better. I can guarantee that. So it doesn't mean that we can't have struggles in the present, but look at your past. Use it as fuel. Use it as a reminder of who the fuck you are and where you could go. Next time, start doubting yourself.
Going back to making the change, which is, you know, so often easily spoken about, but so much harder to implement. But I really like this concept of ingredients and, I guess, creating a recipe for change. And you must tailor these or customize these to your clients, but people at home, even ourselves, you know, how do we go about selecting what's right for us at the level we're at, where we want to go? And clearly with what you're talking about with this incremental moderation is how do you know when to switch ones that you've mastered out, ones that are no longer serving you, bring in new ones? How many should you keep on the go at the time? How often should you be changing them? Like, what does that look like?
I would say I have 3 non-negotiables, whether I'm in a hotel, whether I've just gotten off a 12-hour flight or I'm preparing for one, whatever. I have 3 absolute non-negotiables, which is to drink water, it's to eat a healthy breakfast, and it's to get some form of movement. And that movement, as you alluded to earlier, Matt, was if I'm going on a 12-hour flight, I'm going to do 10 minutes of stretching. 10 hours. Yeah. I'm going to do 10 minutes of stretching before the flight. I'm going to stretch halfway through the flight, and I'm going to stretch when I get off the flight. That's my doable goal today. It means I can still have a healthy breakfast, which might simply be a protein bar and a banana. But I'm not going to start my day feeling like shit. And my other one is to drink water as soon as I wake up. 500 mils of water every single day without fail, because you've just been deprived of hydration for the best part of 7 or 8 hours, and the impact that just drinking a pint of water can do first thing in the morning is rather amazing. So start with 3 non-negotiables, implying that you can do it no matter where you are and what you're doing. Now, the reading a page of the Daily Stoic is a nice to do. Well, I will do it throughout the day, but it doesn't have to be first thing. It could be practicing gratitude. I will always practice gratitude at some point. It doesn't have to be as soon as you wake up. Because a lot of people just say to me, routine. Life is not lived as a routine. When I think of a routine, I think of a dance routine. I think everything has to be perfectly in sync, or you failed. No. Have non-negotiables, then build them out. So if I can get in some mindfulness throughout the day, awesome. If I can make sure I laugh throughout the day, I'm going to do it.
Handy.
Yeah. If I make sure I speak to my loved ones at some point, it doesn't have to be everybody, but it could be my mum, could be ringing my dad, my partner, fucking whoever.
Yeah.
So could be a best friend. They're all great ingredients. And my recipe that I'm aiming towards is to have inner peace, calm, and fulfillment. Now, what some people do is they add unhelpful ingredients to their recipe, i.e., I'm stressed, alcohol. No, that's just going to spike your fucking cortisol and you're going to feel like shit. Don't do that. Maybe I'm just going to doom scroll on fucking social media because I need a dopamine hit. Nope, that's bad ingredients. That's like putting a can of tuna in chocolate cake. It's going to taste like shit. Don't do that. So yeah. I would say everyone will know, listening to this, at an intellectual level at least, whether they want to believe me or not is a different case, but at an intellectual level they know if it's serving them or not. Because a lot of people say, I do what's best for me. How do you know? I did a corporate talk a few weeks ago, and some bloke who's like 41, and he said, well, I drink 8 beers a night, and I smoke 10 a day, and I eat ready meals, but I'm happy. I went, how do you know?
Yeah.
He just went, what do you mean? I said, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel quite groggy? He goes, yeah, but I'm 41. I went, right. Is your back a bit stiff? He's like, yeah, but whose isn't? Do you get really annoyed in traffic? Yeah, but everyone does.
Wow.
Are you triggered by the news? He's like, well, it's fucking bullshit what's going on in Ukraine, isn't it? I said, right, so you wake up feeling groggy, your back's constantly stiff, you get annoyed in traffic, you get triggered by the news. Would you say you've just become familiar with this current lifestyle? Yeah, but I'm in my 40s, Adam. I said, respectfully, mate, I know a guy at my gym who can do 2,000 metres on the rower who's 72 years of age in under 8 minutes. He's 30 years older than you.
Yeah.
So you're limited.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Eh? Like, wow, just like, it's the people out there that actually are like that.
Oh, mate, in their fucking millions. It's more, like we said earlier, guys, it's more common to be like that. When you say, in the UK anyway, I do lots of corporate talks, and I did one with the senior leadership team a few weeks ago, and it's 9 a.m, and there's Haribo, and there's Jaffa cakes, and there's all this confectionery full of sugar and fat at 9 a.m. Cans of Red Bull. And you're like, it's 9 in the morning. Yeah. Do you guys have an energy dip at 2 o'clock in the afternoon by any chance? Yeah, but everyone does. No, they fucking don't. But why do you need to... I'm not against having Haribo occasionally. Do I want it at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday? For fuck's sake.
Yeah, no.
So you're kind of talking about, you're saying people need to, we need to lift our baseline. Like, what's our zero operating phase, I guess, and then move from there. So if you're eating junk, if you're smoking cigarettes, if you're drinking booze, your baseline's going to be here and you're going to get comfortable with it. You're telling us we need to be lifting it. Yeah,
but sometimes, so if you want to improve anything, I would say raise your standards is a great phrase because it's never not applicable. But what I would say to the point that you made earlier, David, when you said, I'm all or nothing, I'm go, I have to achieve, I would be looking, there's something that's rocking your inner peace.
Yep.
There's something there, I don't know what it is, but there was something as well you said, Matt, about I'm just a procrastinator. The language we use drives our thoughts, but you're not a procrastinator. You have a tendency, when it comes to certain projects, to procrastinate.
That's it. Spot on the money, because it's only on a few things, and it's normally to do with paperwork.
Yeah. So,
You know, shit that I don't like.
yeah, so ask yourself compassionately, I'm wondering what the resistance is to this paperwork.
Do you see that as a negative? Because you kind of like
Yeah.
embrace this side of you that is, oh, I'm a procrastinator. I'm proud of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
a label.
Yeah, but
Like,
sometimes
would you wanna change
sometimes
it?
you have to get shit done. You know, like and you know,
But
and
you
I
can't
always
just
get-
outsource to old mate here all the time.
No, I know, but yeah, I don't know. Like, no, I don't think being a procrastinator is particularly endearing.
No,
You know?
I think of procrastination as low self-worth and a red dress.
Yeah. Oh, I don't mind the red dress.
Yeah. Get the matching heels as well.
Okay, I'll send them round.
Yeah. So, but again, going back to your point earlier, mate, you touched on your son. If I said to you, right, your son's got a week to live, or I'm going to fucking blow his head off, you need to make £5,000. That's the bounty. You'd make it. You just find a way. You would. You would not procrastinate for 1 second. So, but the weight of our labels can be very fucking heavy. So, I'm a perfectionist. No, you have low confidence because you don't feel confident enough in making a decision. It has to just be perfect. No, you're fearing of being judged. Why are you fearing of being judged? Oh, mum and dad used to call me a piece of shit when I was younger, perhaps. Oh, shit. Or a teacher said you were never, you never apply yourself. You never amount to anything. It could be that, oh, I'm a procrastinator. No, I feel really overwhelmed when it comes to doing administration tasks. Why? Because I don't enjoy them. So how can I make a game out of it? You're a competitive guy. I'm going to set a 10-minute timer, and I'm going to see how much, with no distraction, phone on airplane mode, don't talk to me, go in a separate room. I'm going to see how much I can get done, and I'm going to give myself a little reward. And I don't mean fucking Haribo. I mean I'm going to allow myself 5 minutes of fucking watching reels on Instagram of dogs. I don't give a shit. But whatever it is, you have to have a little reward at the end of
His
it.
dog's dead.
Yeah, both dogs.
All right,
Bro, you are so on it, mate. Like, what's your business, and when did you start it? Did you start it before?
About 4 years ago, 4 and a bit years ago.
And so when you hauled yourself off the deck, when you're at rock bottom, what did you get into then? What level of what industry did you get in? Did you go back into hospitality, or did you go back to school or education?
I burnt the boats, mate. As soon as COVID happened, they said you're going to close for 3 weeks. The bars are going to be closed for 3 weeks. That's what we were told in the UK. Okay, cool. That transpired that another 3 weeks went by, then another 3 weeks. And lo and behold, we're 4 months into this thing. And because I was in such a mess, I was living with my partner's parents at the time. They're quite well off. They've got a nice house. They've got a gym in the house, barbecued food every day. I lost 30 kg in about 5 months. Yeah.
Well, because you weren't drinking piss.
I wasn't drinking. I wasn't eating shit. I was exercising. I was getting up at 6 as opposed to getting in at 6 from hospitality. And I just felt amazing. And I said to my partner, I'm not going back to that lifestyle. I can't do it to myself. So I did a course with Tony Robbins about how to set up your own business, which is amazing. And then I posted on Facebook, hey, I've changed my life around. I'm now becoming a coach. If anyone wants my help, reach out to me. I got 4 clients off the back of that post, and I was in, and I was like, shit. And then I did that for about 6 months. And then I got really bored of being on my own and not working as part of a team. So 2 of my clients at the time, who were both also called Adam, became my business partners. And I saw a gap in the market. I said, no one is doing mindset, nutritional therapy and personal training that I can see in the UK to the level of which we're all qualified. So why don't we just put it out there into the world? And after 18 months, we bought one of the Adams out. But from that moment, the business has just fucking skyrocketed. And yeah, we've worked with Premier League footballers, brands like Amazon and Dell and Team GB. It's been fucking unbelievable, mate. So, and here we are today. So
how good.
I can see why you've been so successful, because it's like, it's infectious just hearing from you. Like,
it's been really easy.
We're not finished yet, but I feel so I know that says like he's going to start rapping, but we're not ready yet.
You're not ready.
I'm not ready. There's stuff I want to speak to Adam about because he's not charging us for the session. But it's
okay. What did you just say, mate? Jesus Christ!
But I would pay for this because I feel inspired. Like it's it's really quite incredible.
Okay, we'll ask another question then.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned it in my intro, was this concept of habit stacking for momentum. Can you explain that to us a little bit? Because what you've been discussing is a lot more holistic than I kind of even expected, even with the research I've done.
Yeah, sure. So habit stacking basically is, what am I already doing and what can I add to this to get more shit done? So, for instance, the thought of, if you lay it out as the ingredients list, right, or the recipe, and you go, how do you possibly exercise, drink water, meditate, practice gratitude, listen to an audio book, and all that in an hour? Well, quite easily. I wake up, I drink the water, a few minutes gone. Healthy breakfast, overnight oats, takes me a few minutes to eat it. Then I can go out for a walk. As I'm going out for a walk, I'm going to listen to an audio book, because I might not have time to sit down and read it for 20 minutes. But if I'm out walking in nature and I listen to an audio book, I've got positive content in my ears as the endorphins are increased through exercise outdoors. Because exercising outdoors elevates the endorphin levels and the serotonin, oxytocin and dopamine levels to fucking nth degree over exercising indoors. So amazing. Now I've done that, I've habit paired, I've habit stacked. So as I'm doing that, I'm just going to bring in some mindfulness. So it doesn't mean I have to sit down in a fucking cave and sing Kumbaya. It just
So true, eh?
Yeah. I could just be a dog walking and I'll just be mindful of what I'm doing. We're walking around on autopilot all day. So what can I look at? Oh, there's a dog playing with its owner. That's really nice. Oh, there's a little baby over there laughing. How cute's that? Oh, look at the way that the leaves are swaying. I know this might sound a little bit airy-fairy to some people,
bro.
but that brings you back to the real shit, because the next time your dog is wanting you to throw the ball, you'll be able to feel the fucking ball. There's a bit of saliva on the ball, and you'll realise you're not getting dragged pillar to post by the fucking news or by traffic or by John at work who's just a pain in the arse. You'll start appreciating the tiny little things. If you can be grateful for a fucking cup of coffee, you're rich. So if you can be grateful next time you're on a walk in nature and you're going, oh, that's really nice. That old couple holding hands. Great. That's something nice to look at. Then you can say out loud as you walk in, I'm so grateful for my health. I'm so grateful for this podcast I'm listening to. I'm so grateful for the ability to walk, to see, to hear, to taste. Whatever. You can make it as granular as you want. And then within the space of 30 minutes, you've eaten a healthy breakfast, you've drank water, you've exercised, you listened to an audio book, you've practiced mindfulness and you've practiced gratitude without doing any extra work. So whether you are, young mum of 3, you are the CEO of a high corporation, it doesn't fucking matter. You can condense it within that period of time to get more stuff done.
Yep, 100%. Couldn't agree more. You've smashed it. But you're doing that, David.
What am I doing?
You're doing that stuff that he says. Well, we talk about this stuff all the time. It's the simple things, and it's not rocket science what you're saying, but you deliver it with such eloquence that it sounds like it's But it's hang on. You're what?
My biggest problem is that on a weekly basis, I'll get an Instagram message or a text. Oh, we've got to start doing this sort of breathing. Oh, we've got to use kettlebells. Oh, we've got to try this. Oh, we've got to try that. So you never get into a routine with these habits because of this one.
No, I do, mate. I'm in a routine all the time, mate.
If you were doing all the things that you suggest that should be done.
But I do.
But you don't.
But I do. What, do you live with me? No. How do you fucking know? Sit there and tell me I fucking don't. You wouldn't have a clue, ass Brent. And by the way, brush your teeth.
Oh, that's not nice.
No. But anyway, no, you deserve that. No, you're so full of shit, mate. We do all that stuff. The thing with you, David, is when he gets into something, he's so full on into it. It's to the nth degree. Whereas I can start something and I go, okay, doesn't matter if I don't do it today, as long as I add to it, right? Whereas David gets really manic about stuff, and if he doesn't do stuff, and like exercise, for example, I don't have to exercise for a couple of days, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. He'll go crazy. Whereas I'll change it up a bit. But that stuff you were saying before about going for a walk and noticing the dog walking and noticing the wind going through the leaves and being appreciative for being able to go for a walk and but it's about being present
Yep.
And I think when it all comes down to it, if you can just stay out of your head and just realise what's going on around you and stop projecting yourself into the future or thinking about the past, which we all do, and just try and stay in the present, that's the key.
That is the key, mate. A funny story on that quickly. There's a friend of mine, he coaches a lot of the Premier League. Yeah.
It's my breath, honestly, babe.
I knew that'd get him, mate. He'll be sitting there going, no, shit. He'll be going, fuck, my breath stinks.
Well, there's nothing worse, right?
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
but I just throw him on a tailspin. He'd be like, oh my God, my breath stinks.
Oh, I love
it's
it.
so good. I just love it, mate. Sorry, carry on.
Carry
on. What were you going to say?
All good. So a friend of mine, his whole business is coaching Premier League footballers, and I sort of was speaking to him the other day, and he was talking about high-level play. I won't name him for personal reasons, but he hit like 4 straight passes in the space of, 2 minutes. Really uncharacteristic. This guy's got a great range of passing. And he said to him afterwards, he's like, that was really odd. He said, what was happening there? He goes, I was thinking about what I was going to have for McDonald's after the game.
Yeah.
What the fuck? But it's because they're so finely tuned, these athletes, and, they're going through such a difficult moment. And you're like, that really humanized it. But he's working on mindfulness with him, and he didn't necessarily understand it. But when he wasn't being mindful, because ironically you need to be aware that you're not being mindful, which sounds like a bit of an oxymoronic thing to say, right?
Yep.
But it was in that moment where he goes, now I get what you're referencing. So he goes, I do this most games, not just about McDonald's, but about, oh shit, I need to drop the kids off on Monday, or I need to speak to that teacher because one of my kids is behind in class. And you're like, then he scores the winning penalty at the 90 minutes, and you're like, yay! And then afterwards in the change room, he's like, yeah, shit, I need to get back to that fucking guy about this. That's not being mindful.
Yeah.
So that's the level. He said, next time you walk onto the pitch, I want you to grab the grass. I want you to put it through your fingers. Next time you're about to kick off, really listen to the fucking referee's whistle. When you tie your shoelaces, feel the fucking grip of the laces as you tie it onto your foot. These little moments, because then when you are on the pitch, you're going to slow everything right down. And you're going to be way more present. Because you're either present or you're lost in thought.
Yep. 100%, mate. 100%. I couldn't agree with more. It's been fascinating. Keep going, though.
So interesting. I mean, we are wringing you dry in terms of knowledge. But I did...
No pun intended.
No.
That's next week's episode.
Yeah, but I talking about nutrition, because nutrition is something I'm really interested in. I follow carnivore, for better or worse. Extreme, I know. But it seems to work for me. I saw on your website that you guys do DNA testing.
Mm.
Can you talk us through that? Because that's something that I'm interested in doing. Is that like blood types, that sort of stuff? Like, what does that tell you about people?
Oh, mate, it's fascinating. So, for example, there's 8 different tests. So I'll talk to you about my direct example when I had it done for myself. So one of the tests is cognition test. So what happens is I get sent a pack to my house, and it comes in a little tub, and I get a swab, run it around my mouth for 2 minutes, put it back in, send it away. That goes to a specialised lab that we're in collaboration with. This can check up to 72 different biomarkers. This checks everything from my levels of dopamine that I have in my brain, to my cortisol levels, to my vitamin D, my vitamin B, etc., etc. Now, when I looked at my DNA, because I was having quite big energy dips. Now, I've got ADHD and I've also got dyspraxia. So,
what's dyspraxia?
Dyspraxia is like fine motor skills. Even though I've been able to play sports at quite a good level most of my life, it's writing down and then you lose your place on the blackboard and you can't read your own writing, and then you're just in this fucking mess, and you can't retain information all that well when it's just repeated to you in the spoken word straight away. You get distracted by every little thing that's going on. I'm very sensitive to noise. I'm very sensitive to touch. So all my labels in my clothes have to come out straight away. Otherwise it's like someone's fucking ripping their nails out. Really strange. But anyway, so the ADHD side of it. So anyway, when I had my test done, my dopamine levels are as low as they can possibly be. The lowest it can possibly be on the spectrum. If it's 0 to 100, it's 0. My requirement for dopamine is 100 out of 100, meaning that I could get... So my partner's come in a couple of times and she laughed at me because I've been on my phone, my laptop's open and the TV's on.
Right? Yeah, hard.
So And even then, it don't feel like enough. So I'm app hopping, and I'm laptops going ping, ping, and fucking TV's on. And it's like, what is going on? So it's because my brain needs so much dopamine because it keeps rejecting it. So eventually, I crash, and I crash big. So on this podcast, I've given you loads of energy, right? But this afternoon, after lunch, because the way my brain's wired, I'll probably have a nap.
Yeah.
So I limit
That's my problem.
calls. Yeah, I limit how many client calls I do. I limit how many podcasts are going in one day. Sometimes I could do 3 in a day. It varies, but I will limit myself. Social interactions, I'm like, right, I'll go to the one on Saturday, but Sunday, I'm not going for 5 hours, I'm going for 2. Because otherwise, you're going to get, I may as well not fucking be there. Not because I'll become an arsehole or I'll become despondent, just because I'm just, lights are on but no one's home kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I had to rectify it through, like my body basically rejects caffeine to a certain extent as well. So I don't want too much of it. I need to have 1 hit a day. If it's pre-workout, it means I can't have coffee. If I have coffee, it means I can't have XYZ thing. So the things that can come back with are actually quite fascinating. We did one for the Leeds Rhinos, one of the players who's Kiwi as well, and he basically, really good player, built like a brick shit house, fit as a fiddle. And on night games though, he was really struggling. And he said, oh, you know, I'm a night owl though, Adam, I'm in bed by 11 o'clock. We found out through his DNA he's actually an early bird. And his prime training time was actually 6:30 in the morning. And he had to eat certain diet that's different to all the other players. But obviously, rugby league doesn't have anywhere near as much money as football, number one, so everyone gets the same thing. And he was saying to his coach, listen, I need to consume this instead of this. And the coach was going, oh, who do you think you are? Like, trying to take the piss. Like, we're all a team here, everyone eats the same thing. But if I eat that, I'm going to perform like shit tonight. Yeah. And that happened, and he started to get dropped. And then when he started to get dropped, his anxiety started to spike because now I'm not getting picked. When his anxiety started to spike, he wasn't sleeping as well. Now he's not sleeping as well, he's not recovering as well. Now he doesn't recover as well, he doesn't train as well. So now he's not training very well, now his whole confidence is fucked. So people just go, oh, that professional athlete, yeah, he's really low on confidence at the minute, isn't he? No.
Yeah.
What do you mean low on confidence? Do you know what that means? Confidence implying that he doesn't know how to throw a rugby ball anymore. Fuck off. He's done it for 20 years. Yeah. He hasn't lost confidence in how to throw a rugby ball. He's probably really anxious. He's probably anxious because of several other fucking components that are happening in his personal life that you don't know about, for instance. So to go back to the original question, mate, DNA reports are fascinating. There's 8 different ones. Given the lifestyle that you've told me that you lead, I'd probably recommend like the athlete report. Because that'll tell you when you should be training.
Quite like that.
No, just give them the dog walking report.
I'll give you the one for bad breath and dog walking.
Perfect. Send it to me. I'll make sure he takes it.
So there's loads of different ones you can take, but I'd probably what you'd always do first is you do an initial consultation to elicit exactly where you're at. What are you consuming? And I don't just mean through your mouth, through your eyeballs, through your ears. What are the skin quality like around your cuticles of your nails? How well are you sleeping? What are your bowel movements like? You don't need to send me any, don't worry. So it's all that kind of stuff, mate, that we need to understand first before recommending which test you were to have. And then off the back of that, the diet is a negotiation. It's not us telling you to eat chicken and broccoli for 4 months. It's a case of...
I did that for 2 years once.
Yeah. Hey, mate, can I Adam, can I ask you just one final question, I think, because we've been going for ages. We're not wasting any more of your time. Fasting. What's your key on that? Because, like, I reckon we eat way too much. And we've just been railroaded into it through big corporations and all that sort of stuff, because we never used to eat like that when we were, like running around as cavemen. But I find it, I don't eat breakfast. I used to eat breakfast. I was raised by English people who, fry up in the morning and all that sort of stuff. So I used to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. Now I never eat breakfast, and I very rarely eat lunch. But I find it's the best way, and the less I eat, the more energy I have, if that makes sense. That's what I've found. Well, so what's your thing? Like, because obviously you lose weight and all that sort of stuff, but I think it's the most efficient way to get fit if you can handle it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, mate. You know, fasting essentially is just skipping breakfast, and that's why it's called break fast, you know.
Yeah.
So that's all you're doing. You won't be breaking your fast at lunchtime. So it's, on the one hand, I would say do what works for you, but to go in line with what I've said earlier, how do you know? Because it might be that you've become really familiar to that feeling, but you know you equally. So, and you don't strike me as the type to kid yourself. You've played at elite sport level, you look in good shape, etc. So you will know what you feel like, right? So if you do feel high energy and you are performing well, stick with it, mate, for sure. I would never yuck anyone's yum, you know. And that's the other thing. It's to lightly challenge yourself. How do I know if I'm actually happy? Of course, right? But if you are drinking occasionally and you train like a motherfucker and whatever, and you are genuinely happy, and I mean lights are off, you sat on the end of your bed by yourself level of happy, amazing. Double down on whatever it is you're doing. You don't have to stop drinking. You don't have to measure your fucking food out. You don't have to go to CrossFit 6 times a week to be happy. It's not what I'm saying at all. But I would say if it is genuinely working for you, making you feel great, awesome.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Bro, like,
good answer.
What an absolute privilege to be sitting here chatting to you. You're like obviously highly intelligent. You're motivated. It's been really, really interesting listening to you. It's been nice not having to talk.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man, on just, you know, like from where you've come from, the depths that you came from, and, you know, now you're obviously hugely successful in it, and it looks like enjoying your life. So big congratulations from us, and thanks so much for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us and hopefully the people that are listening.
Yeah, that's very kind of you, mate, and thank you for having me on. It's been a really nice conversation, so thank you.
It's been a privilege.
Cool,
we're gonna book some DNA tests.
Yeah, mate, he will, mate. He'll be like, I've ordered some DNA tests. I'll be like, what have you got me? Cheers, Adam.
Thank you so much.
Cheers,
Thanks, Adam. Bye.